Welcome or welcome back to Novel Idea. My name is Dia. Today I want to wrap up the final books that I read in May and also the ones that I've completed so far in June. All right, so May was a much lighter reading month for me. I still read quite a bit, but I think I only read 13 or 14, maybe 15 books in total. So I'm not gonna go over what I already wrapped up earlier in the month. I'm just gonna go over the 7 or so that I have in front of me right now. So I am puppy sitting, as you can see, not my normal background, or it's becoming more normal, I guess. Oh, my lights are flickering. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Interesting. Hope my power doesn't go out. We've been having some thunderstorms and all that kind of stuff, so I am in 2 long sleeve sweaters, drinking hot tea. This one is the green tea. It's a kombucha green tea, and it is so yummy. It's got lemongrass, spearmint leaf, green tea, of course, passion fruit, plum, and then dried kombucha from fermented black tea in it. And it doesn't necessarily sound like it would be yummy, but it both smells and tastes fabulous. So let's get started on talking about these books. Louie, you need to go lay down. The first one that I will talk about is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. This was a buddy read with Kelly from Kelly Reads a Lot, and we had so much fun reading this book. It was just fabulous to be reading it with somebody who was reading it for the first time. And I think this was my 3rd reread of it. It just gets better. I just love it. We follow Molly, who is the daughter of the local doctor. His wife has passed away, her mother has passed away, and they have been living together in perfect peace for all of Molly's life. However, she is coming to an age where the doctor feels like he needs somebody else in her life that can give her the direction and the instruction that she needs to become more of a proper woman. And so he does that in several ways, but one of those is that he marries someone who is not everything that he thinks she is, or that she wants him to think that she is. And her daughter comes along with her. And there's so much that I love about this book, but the main thing that I love is Molly's just dedication to loving and being loyal to and giving her heart wholeheartedly to somebody that is worthy. She just wraps you in her heart, and it's just a wonderful picture of what it means to be a true friend and a good daughter, and to be steadfast and loyal and firm in your beliefs and convictions. It was just really wonderful. We just had such a good time. So next one is Dandelion Wine, also a reread. This was for Tiffany's Patreon, gushing basically about our favorite moments in this book. Ray Bradbury has a way of writing wholesome and just gentle and true childlike content. Childlike, not meaning like it's dumbed down or that it is simple. It just encapsulates childhood so well. And there are so many things about it to love and to question and to dig deep in. And I just love that when Ray Bradbury writes something, it's never just what you're reading on the page. There's always something deeper, something more to it, something to dig and find further little nuggets of wisdom, or to compare and contrast something else in another story. It's a series of vignettes rather than a novel, and it's wonderful. It is simply absolutely wonderful. I think this was my 5th time of reading it completely through, but I'm not positive about that. And I tend to pick it up whenever I need something comfort to read. And I tend to read my favorite parts a lot more often than I do the entire book. Next, I finished The Home Has a Heart. This is by Tyra Ferre Bjorn. And this was really not what I was expecting. I was expecting more of a story, but it is also similar to Dandelion Wine in that it's vignettes, and they are begun with a story of her family, and it could be a special occasion, it could be a special person, it could be just a simple day-to-day in the life kind of event. But she then kind of bookends it with a recipe or two that go along with whatever she has just been telling you the story about. And it was wonderful. I think I'm going to reread it toward the end of the year again, because quite a bit of what she was talking about is the celebrations around the holidays. And I just think it would be wonderful to pick up in late November, early December again. Lastly, in May, I finished Contact by Carl Sagan. And this was way more enjoyable than I expected it to be. I used to watch a program called Big Blue Marble, I think is what it was called. Or maybe that was just the theme song. I need to look it up. I didn't look it up before I started recording. But anyway, Carl Sagan was the voice of that show. He narrated it. He wasn't necessarily on screen, but his voice was the voiceover for whatever was happening on screen. His voice is very much still in my head when I think about that program. And when I saw that he had written this novel, I really wanted to read it. It is about a girl who has had I'm not gonna say difficult childhood, because I think she made it difficult on herself. But she did lose someone very close to her at the beginning of the book, and her life just kind of took a different twist than she would have probably have taken if that person wouldn't have died. So she grows up to base all of her life around things that she can prove. And what she can't prove, she doesn't necessarily not believe. She just questions and questions and questions, because she only wants to truly believe what can be proven. And so there's this huge conversation about God and about things that are beyond our scope in space, and microbes, and all of these different things we can't see with the naked eye or even with, you know, a very high-powered microscope at the time that it was written anyway. One day this message comes from outer space, and they feel that it is instructions on how to build something in order to open contact between whoever is sending the message and whoever is receiving it. And just the way that life unfolds from there and some different things, I walked away from it not having any doubts in who I am or what I believe or anything like that. Carl Sagan didn't change my mind in the book. And I just really, really enjoyed the conversation, being very open and honest and weighing things out and questioning, you know, how could we prove this? And why do we need proof? And why do we not take things in faith? And just different stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it. It does have some content things, but not anything that is overt and not anything that is like graphic. So far in June, I have finished The Foxwife by Yangsze Choo. And I was so loving this book at the very beginning. It's entrancing. The way that is written, the world that is built, the stories that are unfolded without feeling like it's an info dump. Oh, there was just so much. We are following two perspectives. Snow, who is a fox spirit, and Bao, who is a young boy who was helped by a fox spirit when he was very, very young. And as a result of the fox spirit helping him, he can now detect when people are lying. And so the two storylines initially, and for probably 80% of the book, are maybe even more like 85% of the book, are really intriguing. There's lots of questions. How are these two going to converge? What is it all going to mean in the end? How is all of this going to pan out? And it builds and builds and builds. And then about the 85, 87% mark of the book, it just fizzles. It's like, this is the answer for this. This is the answer for this. This happens here. Done. And it was just like so anticlimactic. I just was... So I ended up giving this like a B+ on my grading scale. And it's not one that I would discourage people from picking up. I think that it's well written, and somebody might like the ending more than I did. They might feel like it was just wonderful. But for me, the way that she wrote the finality of things was not satisfying with how much it was build before that. So then I read Joyful, which is a vegan cookbook, and it is by Radhi Shetty. She is very effervescent, and it comes across in her love of family, her love of food, the way that she talks about life and talks about rest. I don't think it's one that I'm going to hang on to, partially because even though it's vegan, it still needs so many tweaks in order to fit my diet that I don't find it accessible enough for me to want to add it to my shelf. And so I think that I am going to be taking this one back to the used bookstore, but I still really liked it. I liked the stories, and I enjoyed hearing about her family and her growing up years and what life looks like and what she chooses to feel about those things and what she chooses to focus on, and fun kind of bite-sized read each day, and I enjoyed it. Lastly, I finished Wendell Berry's A Place on Earth, and this is part of his Port Williams series. So I don't know if he means it to be a series, but you do encounter the same characters and you do spend time in the same little town in Kentucky. It still is everything that I love and hate about, hate is a strong word, everything I love and dislike about Wendell Berry. So I really love the way that he writes. I find myself rooting for these characters and really enjoying my time in Port William and just all of that. However, he chooses to use profanity and highlight events that I just, with the character that he has built prior to using these words and showing these events, it just doesn't feel like these people are the same people that he's been telling me about. It doesn't feel as if they would use that language. It doesn't feel as if they would put themselves in that situation. And so I don't know that I can recommend his prose work to people. I know there are so many people that love Wendell Berry, but I love his poetry and his essays so much more than his prose work. If you pick up Wendell Berry, pick up his poetry. It's really beautiful. Don't worry, don't even bother about the prose, in my opinion. All right, so I'm still reading, or I should say I have begun reading, Jungle Tales by Tarzan. This is a buddy read with Dave and Olive over at Book Blather, and it's so much fun to be back with Tarzan. It takes place in between some of the chapters of the first book. Stories that kind of go back and explain some things. Some of the time gaps that we have in that book are filled in this one. And so it's just been fun. It's been so much fun. Also reading Well of Ascensions, the second book in the Mistborn series, and I'm doing Mist Along. That is Rich, Victoria, Stephanie, Christy, and Tiffany. So musical bookworm, Dostoevsky in space, beautiful minutia, Miss Richards reads, and I don't think Rich has a channel, but he's still one of the hosts. And so I'm doing that with them and really enjoying my time back in Mistborn world. And then also have picked up Drift by Carol Lewis. This was something that Angela mentioned on her channel. I will leave Angela's channel linked down below, but this is something that she mentioned, and she said that she really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was going to come in at my library quite so quickly, but it did. And so I am picking it up to read. And like I said, just picked it up, haven't hardly even begun yet. Fiddler's Green, I have it actually here. Oh my word. What a dog. Fiddler's Green by A.S. Peterson is a book that I got for my birthday from my daughter, and I am going to be starting this tonight or this afternoon while I'm here. That's the reason why I brought it. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also I was able to pick up the Emissary by Yoko Tawada. And it came in at the library at the same time that Drift by Carol Lewis did. So I'm going to begin that one. It's a little tiny book. It's not very big, so it won't take very long. And I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to get to it, but it will probably be sooner rather than later because it's a library book. So that is everything going on in my reading world. So I would love to know what you're reading so far in June, and are you enjoying it? And I would love to know, what was your favorite read that you had in May? Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I will see you again very soon in another video. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to.